709 Meridian, an audio commentary podcast. My name's Andrew.
And this is D.
And we are continuing the late summer of duologies with the Joan Wilder duet. Romancing the Stone and...
The Joan Wilder Chronicles.
The Joan Wilder Chronicles. And so it's Romancing the Stone this week, and then it'll be Jewel of the Nile next week. Michael Douglas produced these and starred in them. It was kind of his breakthrough as a movie star. He'd already won an Oscar at this point for producing One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and so he was showing himself to be a savvy behind-the-scenes guy, but as far as TV goes, he was basically a young cop partner who tried to be a lead, basically.
All right.
You know, like
Streets of San Francisco.
Streets of San Francisco. He was the sidekick. He was the young Hapman sidekick to Carl Malden, was it? I don't know. I never saw the show. But and then he did the Star Chamber, which I still haven't seen. He was the cameraman
Really?
I haven't seen the Star Chamber yet. I know. We should do a Peter Hames. We could do a Peter Hames, and we could quit with the
Star
relic.
Chamber. Trying to think. Star Chamber, Time Cop.
Yep.
Running Scared.
Scared.
There's
some 70s shit, but we could do 80s. We could start with 80s and then do early 90s and just quit after Relic. And Relic's shot in the Field Museum, so, like, that's kind of cool. That one's pretty good, too. But anyway, so Michael Douglas wasn't a movie star yet. His dad was still making theatrical movies. He was making TV movies. But Tough Guys would come out a couple years later, and that would be a reasonable hit for old Kirk Douglas. And so, like, Michael was still living in his dad's shadow, even though Dad was in his 60s or 70s. But then along came Romancing the Stone, and Michael Douglas was able to be a likable asshole. He was able to be a scoundrel.
Right.
Which is not...
likable to moms. He was kind of...
There you go.
Your mom's favorite guy.
Yeah. He's you know, you don't have an Indiana Jones this year. You might as well watch... Except you did have an Indiana Jones that year.
Right.
But, that's even more impressive that this was a hit then. But the secret of...
But this kind of was in line with kind of the indie mania that followed. There was a slight
and
indie, knockoffs.
I thought of something that we could watch.
Yeah.
I think we should watch them. I haven't seen them since I was 10 or 11, but I think we should watch Ellen Quartermain.
Right.
1 and 2, filmed back to back. Good old canon out of the Salkind playbook. So, spoiler, that might be coming up. But, so the star of this is Kathleen Turner, which is one of her first, like, PG-ish roles. She'd been very adult in movies.
Came after,
Wasn't Crimes of
Body
Passion?
Heat.
Yeah, Body Heat was 81, and then wasn't Crimes of Passion or whatever that one's called? This 84 too?
Probably. She was very much a...
She did.
They were making her a dirty Lauren Bacall at the time.
And this sort of gave her something different to do, and it led to other things, Peggy Sue Got Married. And then, but it's written by Diane Thomas, I believe her name is, and it's got a fantastic script, and then she died in a car accident. Either very soon after its release or something about she was intended to write the sequel but died before she could, and Michael Douglas kept it going, and basically we lost a franchise because they rushed it. They didn't find somebody who could do the script right, and so we lost this sort of mythic. This should have been a series until 93. They should have been doing these till 93.
Well, they were saying that, had Jewel of the Nile not been a colossal flop to this, to the hit,
Yeah.
then they probably would have at least done another one.
Well,
but
they shouldn't have made such a terrible piece of shit as we will be watching next
right,
week. But
exactly,
hey, at least there's the Billy Ocean song.
right.
Yeah, and then these two would reteam for the War of the Roses, which was a hate your spouse black comedy
Yeah,
that
black
Danny
comedy.
DeVito did. There were a lot of those during that was kind of the first big one, but they sort of continued to the mid to late 90s, this whole genre of just boomers being vicious to one another.
Yeah,
And
a lot
it
of them were touchstone movies,
yeah, it's weird too
and they
because
all
that's
featured
Disney.
they all featured kind of a combination of Bette Midler, Danny DeVito, Shelley Long.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible how much Disney hates the world, but they now own this movie, so we should watch it.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I don't know. Touchstone's weird. We're not doing a Touchstone series, but I wish somebody would write a book about how Touchstone is as fucking weird as it is, because it's still weird, especially when you consider that it has no legacy. They
well, they
like,
had vehicles. They were all vehicles for they found a niche, and that niche was Bette Midler.
well,
If
yeah.
anybody benefited off of Touchstone, it had to have
Oh,
been her, and
well,
maybe Shelley Long to a
when you
lesser
think
degree.
about it, that's Bette Midler's own fault for doing that to her
I mean,
legacy.
they tried to get the teeny bopper crowd with what Can't Buy Me Love. Uh,
Now, Hollywood never did. Hollywood Pictures, everyone was Touchstone's
Adjacent, yeah.
adjacent Disney for adults, R-rated Disney. Whereas Touchstone tried to be more like
No,
PG, PG
they were pushing
13.
PG-13. Yeah,
Was Arachnophobia Touchstone or Hollywood?
I think that was Hollywood Pictures.
But it like was on the. It was
That was supposed to be
almost.
their Jaws.
Yeah, it's an incredible time to have grown up watching all this crap because there was no like discussion of the brands in this way. I mean, if there was, it was in, daily variety and not accessible to 15-year-olds or fuck 12-year-olds. It was so fucking obvious. You couldn't help but notice it as you watched all these weird movies. Like,
Mm-hmm.
man. And then there are some really good touchstones in the 90s that sort
Yeah.
of, well, I mean, what's love got to do with
Well,
it
yeah, you got that.
is there's stuff like that is not maybe the hit. Like
It should have been.
it's not the hit. It should have been a bigger hit, and the star should have been a bigger hit from it, even if the movie's
Yeah.
not, even if it's still a Touchstone movie. But
Mm-hmm.
they had this thing where they like had no personality to their cinematography. Like their lighting was bland as shit until
Yeah, it was flat.
Ransom or something. I think it was Ransom. Okay,
Mm.
we're gonna get started on this because I had the observation this morning that one of the things as I was driving to work, I don't know what set it off, but I'm like, the other thing is, Mel Gibson made a whole fucking movie about how white supremacy sucked. And then what happened? Like, Lethal Weapon
Mm-hmm.
2 was, oh, all right. Anyway,
Yep.
let's continue. Fuck that guy. All right, so you ready?
Yeah.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1, play. Where's my Disney logo? Oh no, it's
Hey, this is Fox.
there we go. Oh, who did the score to this?
This is
Ellen
Silvestri.
Silvestri, yeah.
Zemeckis,
Zemeckis,
which
yeah.
explains why Mary Ellen Trainor's in here somewhere.
So romance novels got sort of mainstream in the 80s, like they got more culturally acceptable. It seemed like, and
Yeah.
this was very much like making fun of the romance novel.
Now, this is actually what opened the door for Zemeckis to do Back to the Future, I believe.
He'd never done anything like this before. Like this was because he'd
Yeah, because
done
he was one of Spielberg's sort of students.
and he had done Used Cars. He did I Want to Hold Your Hand, but this is like, as we will see, it is going to be a very, I don't know if, Zemeckis wants to be Steven Spielberg and Ron Howard wants to be Steven Spielberg. And at times, Zemeckis and Ron Howard are sort of the same idea. Also, I'm pretty sure on VHS it was a little bit less obvious how wet and see through that shirt is.
Oh, definitely. Thank God for Blu-ray, because
And so now we've got like, it's because Zemeckis does have like a comedy touch to him. And
yeah, Zemeckis is kind of like a higher brow Joe Dante almost.
yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah. But then Zemeckis has somehow gone on to be even more
Like
obnoxious
he's
than
definitely chasing Spielberg.
yeah.
You know?
And what's so weird about that is they had their whole competition for the box office, but then also it's like, did they also have like some competition for Oscars, which seems more and more likely. This would be So this was a year before Silverado and a couple years before Three Amigos. But
84.
yeah, we were starting to see the return of Western
Right.
theatrical stuff.
When did Pale Rider come out? That was what?
Pale Rider was like 84.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Snowy
fucking
River and all that shit.
awful. Pale Rider's bad.
Uh,
Um, okay. So now,
Here's a very unsexy
mhm,
Kathleen Turner. Like she's very much playing against type at this point.
she's so incredibly good in this. I can't,
Yes.
like, they just needed to keep. Well, Zemeckis doesn't come back to direct the next one. They
Yeah,
like
that's
let
part
this
of
get
why.
away from Zemeckis, and they shouldn't have.
Yeah. If it at least if the third one had gone through, they should have had Zemeckis come back to direct that
Yeah,
one.
but like Zemeckis wasn't. This was a Michael Douglas production, and so the
Yeah.
worst thing happened once Douglas. Hey, Walden Books. Wow, 1984 it is, baby. Um, but once Mike's ego was satisfied, he didn't need Robert Zemeckis. Who
No,
directed the next one? It's not Sidney J. Furie. It's somebody like that, though.
man.
So fucking bad. Oh, there's a cat in it. So you can't remake this, but
No.
it's obviously Rachel McAdam in the reboot.
Oh, look, she's my go-to for just about anything. Like, because she could do anything, and she's, you know, they call it viable. for just about any part.
The
Kind of like
music.
I like what you call 'em? I like Brie Larson, but she's
Yeah.
still kind of youngish, you know.
Yeah. And she also isn't working very hard. Like she's not. That's kind of the weird thing at this point is it's like these people aren't trying to do Oscar bait, which is it messes up the momentum of a career. Like we have no idea what Robert Downey's career would have been like without Iron Man.
Oh
It would
yeah,
have been totally different, and I bet there would have been better movies in there.
yeah, a lot more. I would say independent shit.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got the book covers. The novelization is pen named by the um, Larry Paul, Blade Runner Larry Paul. It's Dean
Dean Cundey.
fucking Cundey. Oh,
All right,
yeah, he's not
that's
back
why
for
it
the
looks
next
so
one, I
good.
don't think. Yes. Oh man. And then Spielberg took him, and then then now he just
Yeah,
makes
because
Scooby Doo movies.
by the next one, yeah, that's what happened. The next one, everybody was working on Back to the Future.
So around this time for Columbia was another Michael Douglas production that he didn't star in. It was Starman. Um, but I mean, this era of '80s was like big concepts
Yes.
for before you had CGI, and so before you even had. I mean, when we say CGI, we mean before you had, I don't know, you didn't have flying, you couldn't do flying effects
Not
reliably.
really. No.
Like, that's why nobody else did it, was because it was so much work to do it on Superman that nobody wanted to, like, make it
Well,
improve
yeah,
it.
in Superman, they like invented shit
Yeah. And
to make it look.
then they do okay, so yes, she's not playing a femme fatale sex pot, but she
No,
does uh just
she's got
wear
it
a
where it
long
counts.
shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. But then later on, she sort of, you'll see, she kind of comes out.
Yeah. She has her eat pray love here. um
You know, she's a nice little old lady,
yep,
and
except I'm sorry, this is what's called character development, and the youth don't like that.
well,
If it
well,
doesn't
you didn't
inform the plot, they don't like it.
look. If this was made now, she'd be over there already. We would have skipped all of this.
Oh god, I mean,
It would have started with her in the fucking jungle and shit.
well, yeah, because otherwise you would have had to shoot on location in New York. Like,
Yeah. Or, go to Toronto and dress a street up like this.
CGI the rest of it. Okay, so we've got
Yeah,
our suspicious fellow here. Do we have a cameo? No, not. I mean, this guy's somewhat familiar, but he's not like a stunt player. It's not like Gary Marshall's directing this.
right. That's not Hector Elizondo.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
so we're 10 minutes in, right? This is a 106-minute movie, basically, and we still haven't seen top billed Michael Douglas.
No.
Holland
So this is
Taylor.
definitely, yeah, Alan Taylor. This is definitely, he let Kathleen get the spotlight for
Yep.
this.
That's kind of the problem in the next one, is that they don't have anybody who's good at writing the two of them together. So they have to immediately
so
get
they have
into a
them at
fight
each other's throats all the goddamn time.
instead of working together. And as we have actually established unintentionally on 709 Meridian, it's much better when your couple works in unison, because then you basically just have a buddy pick where you have multiple active participants. So Holland Taylor, oh God, this is the other, oh, dude just looked right into the camera. Dean Cundey's like, you fucking idiot.
Right. And Holland Taylor playing Holland Taylor.
Yeah.
This was every part she played shit up until now, pretty much. Like,
yep.
She does it well, though.
Yes, she does. She's somebody who either there's like some great plays we all missed, or there's some, I don't know, show or some obscure movie where she's just got some awesome performance.
This being what, 84?
Yeah.
She was just coming off with what, Bosom Buddies as the boss on there.
That's right. I totally forgot about that. Imagine so what we're saying is there aren't very many actors on the caliber of sitcom stars of the early 80s anymore. We're at a severe loss in the 2020s. Okay, we're off to Colombia. And what's your old girl's biggest part in a movie ever, right?
Mrs. Robert Zemeckis.
Mrs. Robert Zemeckis, but she's never had this much to do.
Not really. She's always the mom or...
Yeah.
And Lethal Weapon, the psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
Die Hard, the random reporter.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting that later on in the early 90s, Parker Lewis, she played the mother in the pilot, and then they got another actress for like the first season, and then suddenly they switched back to Mary Ellen Trainor for the rest of the series. And I don't know. I think I like the other actress. But Mary Ellen Trainor in season 2, I guess, got to bring a bonus with her. Robert Zemeckis had a cameo in an episode.
Wow. Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Spielberg would never. Steven Spielberg did nothing to help Kate Capshaw's career.
Nope.
Not a thing ever.
When I was a kid, this was the coolest shit.
Oh, yeah.
Because this little boy is driving a fucking car.
Right. And this is kind of the thing, is that this is how you have a this is how you have a tent pole in the 80s, right? Like, you don't understand viewing patterns yet. Like, not everybody's got a screen everywhere. So you include a little bit of a thing to give that to attract the attention of that
punch it up
audience, right? So you're a little boy watching this boring movie about some lady in New York, but then all of a sudden
a kid driving a car.
There's a kid driving a car, and then there's immediately a Danny Glover comedy bit.
DeVito.
Wow. Yep.
Danny DeVito and this guy who plays his cousin Ira.
His cousin. And that's another thing that's missing in the next one is Ira.
He's not there, which probably would have helped.
Yeah. And now Danny DeVito at this point was still the guy off Taxi.
Louis.
This was his big breakout.
Definitely.
And he, of course, has gone on to become a national treasure. But he would produce movies. Danny DeVito's, arguably the most successful actor producer of this era. I mean, Jersey Films is better than
He's partially responsible for How High. All right, so Ms. Wilder's back to her apartment, and shit got wrecked.
So this is another Panavision movie that was a video and cable hit, and then it was probably a hit when it aired cut on network.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I can,
this definitely had a second life
mhm.
in home video and cable.
And it got a lot of. This is one where people just forgot they made a second one. They
Oh
didn't.
yeah,
They didn't like think about it. It was like the
yeah, because Jewel of the
original.
Nile.
Yeah, like
Jewel of the Nile is like a Men in Black neuralizer of a movie.
you
You can
for
see it and then forget about it
yeah,
instantly.
you just know that it was bad, and then they stopped making new ones, and then it was over. But like this would have had that would have still had this would have had, I guess I'm saying, a second life in the early '90s too.
Yeah.
So like
Well,
it remained it remained in the home video pop culture
yeah, it's definitely
sphere.
a. Yep. They did, I think, in the trivia say that there was a third one planned where they were gonna have kids
Yep.
and then go off. But again, thanks to Jewel of the Nile being a piece of shit, and then they went and did War of the Roses anyway. So I was
Yeah.
like, eh.
There were like I don't know if there were ever any like real rumors of a '90s sequel to it, like a some attempt to do another one after Michael Douglas started producing again, but that didn't last very long, and
Yeah. Then
it
Kathleen
just
Turner kind of
yeah
she fell ill, I
yeah
guess. So there wasn't much I
yeah
think after a while it was just voiceovers for her.
yeah. She's in the last couple seasons of that Kaminsky Method. You still need to watch that. Now that we're
Yeah, I
watching
gotta
all
catch
this
that.
Michael Douglas, Fiken. Um, yeah, you got to catch up on that. Like that's it. They lose Alan Arkin, but then they bring in the whole like. I don't think Danny DeVito's in it, but he could be. But it works. It's really it's good. There's
Hmm.
some shit at the end with terrible CGI, but it is supposed to be it is supposed to be about a Warner Brothers movie, so I guess it being the worst
Oh
fucking
shit.
CGI in the world's fine.
Well, what you call it turned out to be pretty good. Um, I was gonna tap out on that offer, but
Which
it
one?
turned out to be okay by the end.
Oh, The
I just
Offer.
don't like. Yeah, I don't care too much for Miles Teller though.
No.
He didn't really stand out. If anything, what's his face? Yeah, I want to say Michael Sheen. Whoever, I think that was him that played Robert Evans. Like he
Oh,
owns like
yeah, you
the
were telling me
last
that.
half of.
Yeah, he's
No,
so
not
good.
not Michael Sheen.
Not
Oh shit, what is his name? The guy from Watchmen who played Ozymandias.
good.
Yeah, Matthew
Matthew
Good.
Good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, he plays Robert Evans,
Yeah, yeah,
and the last half of that show is he owns that shit.
yeah. I'm just gonna say that the secret of Downton Abbey is that it is really actually fucking amazing and great. Everybody who acted on it was great, and Matthew Good was on that. And he was just like, "Oh, he can be
Mm.
great when he's got this amazing script to do." But yeah, he picked the wrong first thing. He was on The Good Wife for a season. He was one of
Mm.
her boyfriends in the refrigerator. He was great on that, and then he like quit to do something else, and they're gonna kill him off in Downton because he's too busy to go back to it for one of the
Damn.
reunion movies. He's missed the last two, and they're just like, the whole fucking show's about old girl getting married to picking a dude, and then she picked a dude, and he's never in one of the fucking movies because he's too busy, and they won't pay him.
Damn.
Yeah. Oh, Danny.
Yeah, he was really on top of it back then.
Yep.
Like,
but I mean, just the whole fucking thing of it, like Zemeckis.
this is great. Yeah.
He's just
Look at that
not.
shot.
Yep. He's got the shot. He's got Dean. Silvestri's
This is
on it. This is one of Silvestri's top 4 scores.
oh yeah. This is before everything started to sound like either Back to the Future or Roger Rabbit.
Right. Speaking of Touchstone,
Or Predator.
was that? Did we rant about Touchstone before or after we started recording? Anyway, but yeah, Alan Silvestri, The Sound of Touchstone.
Yeah.
So this is same era as your Karate Kid. I'm trying to think. I mean, this was just a big era for. It was a new era for him.
Just yeah.
It was more of a crossover thing. Like, yes, your big hits were. You go look at the 70s.
They were all high concept,
Yeah, it was
Everything was
a blockbuster, but then it
like you
sometime
couldn't
in
see
the
nothing like this in the
right.
70s
I mean,
at all.
it'd be too there'd be too much. It'd be too 70s,
It would
really.
have
Like,
right because it would have to be either a Fallout comedy or it would have had to been like a gritty fucking rated R.
Yeah.
Like
Sorcerer. This is Sorcerer.
yeah, it would have had to
Starring
have been
Roy
just something.
Scheider and Meryl Streep, and she's this mute girl that he tries to help, and then they die at the end together.
Right,
Like,
this would have just been the most sobering film. It would not have been the feel good movie that it is.
well, and also there are certain things like we'll see some of the comedy beats are very. You wouldn't have seen people in the Towering Inferno smoking pot and it being funny, but by 1984 you can do that.
Although it would be funny to find a deleted scene of OJ somewhere hitting it before he had to get to that elevator. Okay, now this guy, the hitman, he's been following her since New York, I guess.
I'm I would love to. This is one to watch with the pan and scan guide on. Like, if that were a thing, I don't know if
Oh,
I'd ever
dude.
want to watch a whole movie like that, but there are some movies I'd like to see what the pan and scan really did. But I mean, look at this. You're
Yeah, because you got
basically only getting one subject, and you're not getting the backgrounds.
just think of it as a square. You're not getting the
Yeah.
bus. You're not getting the plants to the left.
This was one of the ones I remember the first time I saw this. I was like, oh, okay, it's not just Die Hard, it's not just Star Wars. It can
Oh
be
no,
everything. It's
this
everything.
was this was amongst the most notorious ones on TV that was seriously pan and
Oh
scan.
yeah. In fact, I think this was an example.
Yeah,
Maybe are we having a flashback
this
to some
this
TCM with
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Oh, remember? Well, Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson, yeah, it didn't exist in Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters fandom of the 2020s sort of suggests that too. That's the one they watch. Also, this season,
All right,
Ghostbusters, announcing it now. Not sure if it's next or after Quartermain, but I gotta watch them first. But here we got
Michael Douglas makes his entrance.
Michael Douglas. Oh man!
Now he's the embodiment of her novelization heroes, kind of rough and rugged.
Yep. Who previously did not have a face. So we're going to establish the face is Michael Douglas.
As Jack, because all heroes of the 80s have to be named Jack or John.
Or Jack and John, like Jack Ryan. Somebody should do an infographic of that. Okay, so now we're
Was he also a soldier nom? Oh, here we go. Danny DeVito.
Yep.
Coming across the guy here who didn't get fragged.
But we have this additional comedy beat that.
Yeah, he's not supposed to be he's not supposed to recognize him, that he's involved in the whole bit.
Right. While sitting right next to him.
All right.
Playboy product placement. And Jack's boat.
His dream.
We are 28 minutes into this movie. And we are going to set up the boat immediately with Jack. So just the way the details are dropped into the plot are just so good.
Mm-hmm. Now, also around this time, I think maybe a year after this, there was another movie that I think was more or less chasing Romance in the Stone. It's called might have even been another canon film. Jake Speed. Remember that shit?
I remember Jake Speed.
Which was very similar to this.
Yep. Jake Speed promised this. Jake Speed was like somehow some weird director star guy got a big distribution
it was some big
deal.
Crossover for whoever,
Yeah, and like there was because like Wilford Brimley was in it, and like at that point that meant legitimacy, and then people are like, it probably never should have meant legitimacy, but yeah. Jake Speed, yeah.
That was one that like kind of came and went because people were just. Oh well, that was yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did they or did they not make a sequel to that one?
No. What?
No. I always keep thinking they made another
Chuck
one
Norris
of those.
And speaking of being legitimized, Chuck Norris and Lou Gossett. Poor Lou Gossett. Lou Gossett legitimized way too many bad white guy vehicles.
He got trapped though into doing those damn
fucking
Iron Eagle sequels, which really sucked. Because they could have easily got Replace it with Paul Whitfield or some shit.
No, man. You
I'm
replace him.
Chappie's brother.
You replace him with Carl Weathers.
Well, that could have worked too.
Yeah.
Since they washed their hands of him after Action Jackson and shit.
Yeah.
All right, now we've got the whole old school type relationship between these two, the love hate
Yep.
bit.
We're doing
Getting to know you portion of the film.
One night, yeah.
He's too rugged and manly, and she's just
a city slicker.
Not cut out for this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does she have heels? Oh, I think we're gonna get to see him. I think he's gonna fucking knock the thing off her heel. So this is also trying to do a modern day Indiana Jones type thing, right? Like,
yeah, it's indie mixed with, like you said, Happen One Night. You know, the old, what do you call them movies? You know, like Cary Grant and whoever.
The screwball, yeah.
Romance. Here we go.
And we just got that, right? Like, except we're getting it with we're getting it with good special effects for this shit. Like, what if Dean had shot
Everything has to have a water slide.
Imagine if Dean had shot Predator. Oh. Predator's good looking, but imagine if Dean had shot it.
Yeah, if Dean had shot it with stuff like this.
Whoa, everybody.
Hey.
Is the scene in Basic Instinct a reference to this?
Probably. Look at the gams, fellas. What hell of a morning.
I didn't want to say it earlier, but it looked like some of his face grease was eyeshadow. And it does still look like that. And I think he just wiped some of it off.
I think it is.
See, you didn't notice that on VHS.
No, of course not. Like VHS, especially something that's like been played 50 times over.
Oh man, see everybody, that's the other thing you don't understand about VHS.
When you rented movies back then, you had to have been like one of the first people to get them.
So your DVDs break, right? But they break.
Or they scratch.
They're scratched, but they like do something like they stutter, and it's clear there's something wrong. There's always something clearly wrong with your DVD if it's broken. It can still fuck you like in the last 4 minutes, but it's not like the more you watch it, the quality degrades. Like,
yeah.
It's not like the picture gets fuzzier after, like, right. If you, for example, were going to copy a movie that you rented, you didn't want to copy a movie that had been out and rented a few times because it'd be a terrible copy. Like,
yeah, it would have been too fuzzy and.
Oh. Now we got Danny DeVito mugshot.
Doing Danny DeVito comedy with his mugshot on the wall there.
This is Zemeckis at his best. This is that, like.
That's why him and, like, Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future, with all that physical shit, he was. Because I just watched Back to the Future, and the way Michael J. Fox was just all over the place in that movie, like, there's a scene where he just, instead of running around the car to get to the door, he slides over the hood and shit. It's yeah.
The Gators. Yeah.
Those snappers, will you?
Right? The boat is back after the water slide and innuendos. Look at that. Look at the jungle. Look at the Dean jungle. Look at that.
Yeah. It
Oh,
actually looks like a shot from Predator. Kind of.
yeah, I know.
If it bleeds, we could kill it.
Yep, here we go, everybody. I mean, then again, I have seen this movie. I've
Oh,
got to
this was
seen
a
this.
cable staple back
Yeah,
in the day.
I must have seen this movie 12 times, 13 times.
I think I stayed home sick one day and they played this, The Karate Kid, and like Empire Strikes back to back.
That's that's the era.
Yeah, that's back in the day, boy.
And here we get these icon. So even though you're missing a bunch of this with your pan and scan, he is still making sure to get your iconic shots in here too, right? Like,
Because they are central to the, you know,
they're
it's not like you don't see, like if it was real shitty pan and scan, you probably get the Kathleen Turner's face.
right, but no, they're fitting it right, and it's a dramatic. They probably fucked that up though when they moved, but it would
Yeah.
still be very dramatic, and I think that's something that I there is there's gotta have been an artistry to pan and scanning just based on something like this still maintained such cultural relevance for so long before the DVD was standard. And that would have been, 2006. So, like,
Mhm.
it's got to be weird. I wonder if you are like, so I was what, 6 when this fucking movie came out. If you were
Mhm.
6 now, so if you were born in 2018 and you're watching shit, you didn't know that this ever would have looked any different than the right way.
Right. Like,
Like,
it's just like a generation of kids
yeah,
who were born and will never know TV before Simpsons was on.
right.
Like, there's
Oh, I think
generations of
we're on
people behind us who,
shit, man. We're on. That's 1989. That's not even.
right.
yeah, but it's just
See,
fucking
we can
wild.
remember before all this shit was just on forever, but the ones behind us, the shit's just always been around.
No. They get Dean Cundey in all his glory,
Right.
and they get to
They'll
look
never
up
know of,
all the information they ever want to know right away. Like,
unless they see, like, a clip of the shitty TV version.
right,
This is
you're
all they
sitting on
know.
just just the tapes that are on archive, just the
Right.
like 18 hours of television recorded.
Yeah, just somebody who had like a random. They do that. Like,
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying, because I was looking
one of the
for.
resale stores over here.
Oh
You can take all
shit!
your old school VHS tapes in there, and they sell
Wow.
like just rando tapes full of bullshit.
Yep. It's funny that it didn't occur to anyone that there'd be such nostalgia for that stuff. Like, can you imagine fucking if you could just release, I don't know, 16 straight hours of 80s commercials. Okay, that was a stuntman reference. He hit it with his hand up, so it looked like it wasn't Douglas, and then he moved it, and it wasn't Douglas. And that's to cover for the fact that's not Douglas. The whole stuntman thing of the 80s, basically.
Yeah,
Did it
stuntmen were
ever
huge.
end? Like there were these stuntmen who did all this wacky shit, and
Like
then nobody ever knew who they were.
the one guy that died on a set of Lethal Weapon or some shit, Dar
Yeah.
Robinson. He was a big one. I don't know if he died on the set of Lethal Weapon, but he was like, I think they dedicated it to him. He was really big.
So True Lies made no attempt to hide the stuntmen. It let you acknowledge,
Any Arnold movie,
right? Like
most Arnold movies.
which is this weird crossover between low budget action and fucking like the biggest movies of all time type of that
Like when
era.
it was Arnold, you could tell it was a fucking stunt
Oh
man and
yeah.
shit. When they would have the Arnold wig on and shit. Dude, like fucking I was just watching Raw Deal, which is one of the shittiest 80s Arnold movies. This shit is terrible.
Oh, I still haven't seen it.
Oh god, man. But it was legit shot, in places in Chicago.
Right. Like
But I think it had another title before it was Raw Deal, because it seems like one of those movies. It was in the can,
okay.
and
Oh,
they were out of they wanted to have just an Arnold movie out there.
and they were like, "It's Raw Deal." Okay.
Right, let's put Raw Deal out just to keep Arnold relevant at the time. Ah!
Very Goonies,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that's
all
what's
of this shit inspired it, you know,
yeah.
because a year later, Spielberg goes, "Well, shit, let's put kids in the middle of this shit." Kids and dead bodies and skeletons and shit.
It is incredible that they still haven't really done anything with the Goonies.
I think they should just leave it the hell alone.
I think they
Like they
should
had the
do.
opportunity to do the cartoon, and that, yeah, that kind of fell off.
What about a prestige making of, but not on the set because you wouldn't want to have a bunch of kid actors.
I really think they should have, you know, they they had a lot of shit that went with that movie. Like allegedly, there was a 3 hour long cut,
That's
which is
right. They still
obnoxious
don't
for a
have
movie like
that.
Goonies.
Yeah,
They don't have the there's
octopus.
a cut, they say, right, they need to release the octopus version, the version where they go to the convenience store, and then later on they get involved with the octopus. Uh, there's a version of it where they say there were gorillas that escaped from the zoo that basically have nothing to do with the rest of the movie. They keep cutting the two gorillas running around causing chaos in the town or some stupid shit.
What
So I'm
that
glad they let that one go.
What that sounds like is you could take that 3 hour cut and turn it into one hell of a movie serial with the
Yeah, maybe.
cliffhangers. Yeah.
So it's
But
like there's a version of Goonies that they just, for some reason, refuse to release, and I don't know. But then again, now you got all these weird fake fans who act like, yeah, I used to watch it all the time when I was little. No, you didn't. Because Goonies was kind of one of those. eh, I don't know. It wasn't super popular then.
no.
It's popular
Goonies,
now as a kind
yeah.
of throwback thing.
Goonies
It
was
was
so
never at the same level as like
unpopular.
Back to the Future.
No. Remember, Goonies couldn't even get a legit looking box. They
Right.
packaged Goonies. They when they did try to rebrand Goonies, they tried to brand it kiddier. Warner
Yeah.
put it out in one of the big old white clamshells, like it was the Never
Hmm.
Ending Story 3 or some shit.
Yep.
Okay, here they are smoking some pot.
Oh yeah. Woo-wee. Now this is kind of like the whole of the movie. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is them trying to get to know each other, but more a lot of what do you call it? Uh, yeah, I'm too. A lot of storytelling here. A lot of exposition
Yeah.
going on.
The map just made me realize this would have been a good model to follow for Aquaman.
Probably.
I would have watched an Aquaman movie like this. Like, I mean, I wouldn't have actively hated myself while watching it, as opposed to,
Would you really be able to suffer through like Amber Heard's acting? Her there and gone accent.
well, no, because you would have to still center it around. You're centering it around Jane Foster, uh, Kathleen Turner as Jane Foster. You're not centering it around. You can't have Mira. Mira's gone. Sorry. So you got to bring somebody else, somebody who can act.
Right? Arthur.
Well, yeah, except she was nowhere near the worst in that movie. Like,
Mm.
God,
And there's what's his face who just needs to be in every goddamn movie. Um,
Patrick Wilson.
yes. Like, how does he get work? Who loves him that much in the industry that he's just all over the goddamn place?
I think he's basically the only white guy in that age group who hasn't said something super shitty.
Yeah, because I
Because
just
what's the other guy
realized.
who's just like Patrick Wilson?
Hmm,
Aaron Eckhart.
there you go.
Aaron Eckhart said some stupid shitty stuff. Like
Well, he used to get confused with Thomas Jane.
Thomas Jane did some
Yeah.
stupid says some stupid shitty stuff, and apparently still married to Patricia Arquette, which has got to be weird. But
Wow.
yeah, so there's like a limited number of these dudes, and he's in those Insidious movies, so he can do whatever he fucking wants. Like he's directed like 3 of those, or at least 2. Patrick Wilson, auteur.
Yeah, uh,
I haven't seen any of them, and I don't dislike Patrick Wilson, and I love
I don't
Rose
dislike him
Byrne.
either.
It's
And I
just
just I just recently found out that what Insidious and what's the other one? I just realized those are two different like franchises and shit.
But there is one that's connected to the other franchises.
Right, there's one that's connected to
But
the other ones, and
it's not. He and Rose Byrne are the investigators, and then he and Vera Farmigina are the
right.
haunted parents.
I couldn't. Yeah, I can't tell the difference. I just realized those are two different
I
franchises.
think I read something about it. I don't know. If you had told me that Rose Byrne was going to be on 2 TV shows a year and in 4 movies a year back in, I don't know, even the first season of Damages, I would have been like, that's going to be, I don't believe you that, I'll be watching all of those things. I'm like, I haven't watched the Rose Byrne thing and fucking, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm glad she made it, but like, I was hoping for more.
Yeah, she's another one that's just everywhere but nowhere at the same
Yeah.
time. Like she's everywhere, but she hasn't quite gotten what do you say, the notoriety, I guess. For
I
she's
mean,
still mid tier.
yeah, she still seems like she's hustling. Like she's still got to work.
Right.
And like,
She's been around long enough.
yeah, she needs her breakthrough. Or like her breakthrough's not going to happen, so she's just going to keep I don't know.
Being the
Maybe I
character
mean,
chick.
maybe physical's great. I hope it is. I'm going to watch it someday, I think. There's too much TV. And everything's 3
Way
seasons.
too much. Yeah.
Like you got to
Or it doesn't run long enough. It has a really good first season, and they just throw in the towel.
Netflix motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, oh. There we got some tension, children. Tension.
Yeah, they're getting all up in each other's face here.
Okay, so we will not just be sitting around going, I don't know what the fuck. Like, we don't really need to talk about this next week because Jewel the Dial's a hot fucking disaster. Like, it's
Yeah, it's terrible.
terrible.
I think I remember seeing it once in the theater, and then once it hit cable, it was one of those you watch like 5 minutes of it and turn the channel.
Now, this is another thing though. A lot of movies that played in syndication, right? Because that became sort of the norm, but definitely by the late 90s, but sort of in the mid 90s, or they premiered on Fox. They weren't a network premiere. They got 15 to 20 minutes chopped out of them. There are some movies that inevitably were improved by losing 15 to 20 minutes. Like, I bet Jewel of the Dial is a much better movie when it's cut by 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it's one of those, it just goes on till. And it has blatant sequences as opposed to something like this where you could tell somebody thought first before.
Yeah. This is also the kind of thing that Kurt Russell never did. Because I think he took
Right, because he
himself
went
too
straight.
seriously.
Yeah, this would have been perfect for him.
Yeah.
Because this and like Fatal Attraction, you could tell it sort of made Michael Douglas feel like he was this stud guy, and he just really was.
And he ran with that shit until
he ran with it.
1990.
He
I
wasn't
remember
exactly. Like I can see Alec Baldwin being that way, but Douglas is just kind of a dad, you know?
Yeah.
He just comes off like that. He doesn't come off as this hunky stud that he thinks he is in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's why he's good in this. But, this is before he really started,
Yeah.
believing in that bullshit.
This is a very Jack Burton. This is not quite Jack Burton, but this is Burton-esque, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
this
you
is
could see
Indiana
him in
Jones
this.
plus Jack Burton.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's one of the things that I feel like we really missed out on was Big Trouble sequels.
Oh, hell yeah.
I
There should have at least
feel
been 2 or 3 of those.
two and like a legacy sequel that was shitty, but we
Well,
forgave it.
remember, at one time, somebody, who was the writer?
Yeah.
W.D. Richter.
Yeah.
And I think they were trying to come out with a Big Trouble sequel or something, but he was also trying to work on a Buckaroo Banzai. Oh, this
Yeah.
dude.
I love this dude.
He's awesome. Hell
This
yeah.
dude's great. I'm pretty sure there's a Big Trouble comic
Oh yeah, there's
from
comic that's a
Boom,
crossover.
but there's just a straight Big Trouble comic, and I'm pretty sure at least the first 6 issues are great. One of those licensed properties, the first arc, maybe the first 2 arcs, is fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Sons of Anarchy. I've still never seen the show, but the Boom comic was really
They had a
good.
comic?
They had a fucking comic for some reason, and it was really good. Like 32 issues I read, and I was like, this is really good. It was just
Oh.
really well done comics. Yeah. But this fucking guy. Okay, now we got to get on this dude. Okay.
Yeah, because he's good in this.
So I can't imagine anybody watching this has not seen Romancing the Stone, but he is a novel. He's a fan of her novels, and all of his gang know her novels because he like has read them to his gang and makes them read them. It's awesome.
And it's just the craziest fucking coincidence that.
Yep. And that's getting away with the coincidence is the sign of like the master. Just being able to, especially now, people don't even try to do it.
No. This guy's still 2 steps behind.
Yep, this dude's going to be around the whole movie, which is weird because Danny DeVito is very memorable. He did a commercial for like the video, right? And then wasn't the teaser trailer for Jewel of the Nile just Danny DeVito saying he was on his way or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember? Yeah, they used to do those type of teasers where you knew the fucking movie was coming out.
Yeah.
And
it was a weird time because, you couldn't just look and see when a release date was.
But this was one of the ones where it was like, it became a hit, and then they started saying, "Oh, we're gonna do a sequel."
Yeah,
it was,
that's kind of how it used
wasn't
to
like
be.
that back in the day. Yeah, because normally they would be, down the road. It would be more, oh, we got it. We're working on a sequel, as opposed to
We're now planning on doing a sequel. Like something like Jaws, for example, they didn't have a sequel in mind. If they'd had a sequel in mind, they would have fucking signed everyone. Like, no, it's not. Nobody was franchise building. Nobody was universe building.
No, hell no.
I mean, this entire movie would be filmed in Los Angeles County today.
Oh yeah.
And on sound stages with CGI backdrops.
But that's also part of the reason why Back to the Future was such a surprise when it got sequels, because it was one of those that was well enough by itself, and then suddenly, oh, we're doing Back to the Future Part 2.
Well, don't forget, there was the sequel teaser that was added to the VHS that wasn't originally there.
Well, yeah, originally it was just, yeah, they did the flash to the credits and then put in the, yeah, and on video, they added to be continued, which,
Yeah. 4 years later.
well, that was kind of the same with Ghostbusters. You know, nobody was really expecting a Ghostbusters 2 till, you know, it just got so much bigger than what it was.
Yeah, I think, and those interest remained high, right? Like, Ghostbusters remained culturally relevant. Even, 84 was a big thing, like versus Gremlins, which did not, right? Like, Gremlins faded quickly, whereas Ghostbusters remained beloved, and so they could get the
Yeah,
sequel.
because Ghostbusters, what? They had the cartoon.
Yep.
They had it was a whole franchise going, so it was
They're
like,
doing a
y'all better
franchise
have a fucking.
movie
There's got to be a sequel to this.
that has
Yeah.
no continuity with the cartoon that ran for what, 4 seasons?
Cartoon?
Oh, yeah. How many seasons did
Oh,
it
the
run for?
cartoon ran from what, 86 to 91.
86 to 91. Think about how much more content that is than 2 movies.
Yeah. It was
So,
kind of cool though. The later ones though, where they reference the movies and shit.
oh, did they get to that point?
Yeah, they even put Moranis' character in the cartoon.
Really?
Yeah, in the later episodes.
Okay,
Yep.
I must have.
Yeah, they often mention like Vigo and all that shit.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so we got our escape here.
Thing here, yep. Now, boom.
Doing a little Smokey and the Bandit action
Yep.
with cars.
This is a sort of. This is the type of thing that would be a Burt Reynolds movie. There you
Oh
go.
yeah.
This would have been a Burt Reynolds movie in like 78. You could have done it as it's either a Burt Reynolds movie with Sally Field again, or it's the Roy Scheider one with Meryl Streep, where she's mute.
Hey, wait a minute.
Okay, did anybody notice the tree behind Michael Douglas? Anybody
Before
notice the tree? The tree. Oh, Michael Douglas just realized. There we go. There we go. Would you look at that fucking
yeah, look at that shot.
So this is the other thing is Kevin Feige sort of infamously made a comment to Chloe Zhao about the Eternals, like, how did you get that shot of the sunrise? And she's like, I went out and shot the sun. And he was like, oh. And it the thing is, if you take your film production crew to Hawaii or wherever, you're gonna shoot some shit. If you just are creating a CGI backdrop, it's just a backdrop. Like, it's not, your location is not part of your, I don't know, it's not a character of itself. Whereas lots of location shooting, especially starting around this time, was very much about making the place they were shooting um, part of the deal. See various films set in Paris in the 90s. Oh, is this the dance scene? Yeah, so basically, Romancing the Stone is just like a romance, really. Like,
yeah, yeah.
They're about to dance. It's a very nice scene.
He's about
Like,
to fall for this guy.
yeah.
They're falling for each other, basically. And
This is kind of your Princess Leia Han Solo, only um, the stakes are a little bit different. But basically, it's the princess
yeah.
and the scoundrel. It would have been funny if Harrison Ford had threatened to do this movie or something, like just to fuck with Michael Douglas. It's like, oh, I heard Michael Douglas is a really good movie to do. I might do that. Michael Douglas is like, oh my god, no. Tom
It's something a
Selleck
little different.
wanted too much money. Or no, Tom Selleck would have been burnt out. This was 84 was the year of Lasseter. We knew Tom Selleck wasn't a movie star.
And he was doing Magnum.
Yeah. And he was getting paid. Yeah. Too bad he sucks. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit of. We're getting a bathing or a post-bathing scene, but we're playing it for comedy, or we're playing it for like whatever cuteness. Now we have. I don't know if he thinks he's wearing this outfit better than he's wearing it, but
no, he does. Look at just.
He looks like the dude from Poltergeist 2 with that hair.
He looks like
he's
dressed like what? That outfit looks like some shit. The Osmond brothers.
Okay. I'm sorry, everyone. I talked a lot of shit in the mid to late 90s about Antonio Banderas. Desperado sucks, but there is a big difference between Antonio Banderas and Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh god, I watched Black Rain a couple months ago. Oh, that was bad.
See, that's one I keep kind of.
No, don't do it. Just watch Blade Runner. Just watch Blade Runner. You know, Tokyo could look like Blade Runner. But no, there's a motorcycle chase through downtown New York. Because it's one of those LA for New York movies. Like,
oh boy.
Or when the LA film crews come to New York as best.
But that's another one of those.
By which one?
That's kind of another one of those. Michael Douglas just sort of poses for the camera.
Yes. Oh, he's fucking awful. It's horrific. Like some of the shit he does.
Dance here. Watch how he dances here. This.
Okay. Oh shit, he does a sexy dance here, doesn't he?
Right.
Oh, we better cut from the sexy dancing.
It's Dad just
Oh,
trying to.
oh, it is totally Dad. See, that's the thing. All right, Gary
And his
Cole.
hair is.
Gary
He's
Cole.
got the.
Michael Douglas has the career that Gary Cole should have had, like to a
He's got
T. Every role. Okay, we've got a
He's
full
got
comedy beat. Yeah.
He's got the Barry Gibb hairdo.
Yeah. He's
The Bee Gees
fucking.
hair.
He's Clark Griswold. Like it's a Clark Griswold. He should have been fucking Michael Douglas as Clark. Kathleen Turner. Damn it. Oh, remind me to have ChatGPT write it. A fucking serious uh, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, but recast with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. And where would Danny DeVito be? They took it over. Alternate universe.
Cousin Eddie.
Oh
DeVito's
my god. Don't
Eddie.
let me forget this. I'm going to have ChatGPT do it. Don't let me forget it. But yes, we're getting this adorable dance sequence, right? Like, nope, Alan Silvestri just made it a little bit less silly. Michael Douglas is being less of a goof. Okay. No, Clooney never really did this. Like, Clooney never really did. He was kind of too old by the time he would have done something like this.
Yeah, he would have had to have done this early on.
Yeah.
Like right after ER or while he was on there or something.
Instead of Batman, George Clooney relaunched.
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah. Okay, we've got the.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to see a lot of Mikey. Okay. So the youth are all uncomfortable about the sex scenes in movies, and people are joking about how it's scenes like this that you bonded with your parents over. Like, oh, should we fast forward to this? Because this is just weird.
Yeah, we're seeing a little bit more of Kathleen.
You're also seeing a little bit more of Mikey.
Just as long as we don't see that flat, pasty fucking
just the Douglas ass. Oh my goodness. Like, people don't realize that Mel Gibson really probably made it on his ass for 2 years. He didn't show it in 4, though, did he? Lethal Weapon 4?
He showed it in 1.
Oh right, but he did the undies in 2.
Right.
Mm.
No. There was the
serious
striptease
guy.
in 3.
Oh yes. Yeah. Okay. Wow. This movie's rated PG, by the way.
Well, as long as you don't see anything, I guess, and it's from the side, that's how they justify it.
Okay, so he just stole the map. Post-coital. Betrayed her. And now...
Jesus. Scoundrel.
Han Solo didn't do that. Okay, so now we got this guy. So there was, in like the 70s, you always... Oh, look at... Michael Douglas is in some lifts there. In the 70s, you would have had like a name actor as your villain. I mean, you would have had Laurence Olivier playing a Colombian guy. Like, they didn't care in the 70s.
Or like fucking like the boys in Brazil.
Right.
Mitchum. Not Robert Mitchum. Fucking who's the other guy? Gregory Peck.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Would be the heavy.
Yeah. So instead, post Darth Vader, your good heavies are sort of these just like really obscure character actors who did this and then played the lawyer, the female lawyer's dad in something else. Like, okay. So now Danny DeVito has joined our heroes here. And we've got 30 minutes left, but basically this is one of those shows that's like or one of those movies that's very much a triumvirate, right? You got the three, you got these two, and you got Danny DeVito, but he hasn't been around yet. So they had managed to establish him as part of this triumvirate in 30 minutes or less.
Oh, look at that.
You know?
It forms into a heart. Oh my God. Something's wrong. I got my phone plugged up, but it's going down.
Mm. Oh, speaking of Goonies.
It's charging.
Cave scenes of the early 1980s. With, of course, a special mention to of mazes and monsters. Nobody but Dean Cundey should shoot a cave. Okay. Trying to think other like treasure hunting movies of the 80s. I mean, this is very Indiana Jones, right? This is, and at this point they would have only seen Raiders, so it's like the romance novel version of Raiders with,
Yeah, that's how they were trying to spin it.
yeah. Well, especially with the poster. He's swinging on the poster,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And up until this point, Raiders was it.
Yeah.
So they were chasing Raiders at this point because
Yeah.
Temple of Doom was coming out.
And nobody really chased Temple of Doom.
No.
Okay, and is it going to be one of those movies where there is no treasure, or will there be a treasure? There is a treasure, and it's a piece of junk. So she's writing adventure romance novels too. Like let's not just think that they're romance novels without some. Okay, they got a kryptonite light on that shit. Look at that. That's some fucking kryptonite there. All of Michael Douglas's hair falls out and he reveals himself to be Lex Luthor.
A little gift from home. I know they're just like, who the fuck? Wow. I'm the creep.
Romancing the Stone.
Yep. We have a title, folks.
God, he really did think that, like, oh, I can pull off a mullet. I can do it. Okay, so we're going to get a car chase over fields, which is usually best played for comedy, which this is because we have Danny DeVito. And we have a stuntman for Douglas. And we've got
Oh boy.
Mounties. And we got Douglas.
Snatch the bag, snatch the bag.
Doing his own stunt there. Not there. Or not for DeVito there. Yep. Yeah. Okay, you've now seen all of Jewel of the Nile too, folks. Like Michael Douglas hanging out of vehicles. And Danny DeVito foiled by horses. Did you just see the wig on the stunt lady for?
This shit leaped.
I think that's a little model. Yeah, it's a little model.
No.
That's a real car without anybody in it.
Right. They can maneuver that shit.
But we're still keeping our banter going during the sequence here, which is and
No, over the falls.
There we go.
Woo. I think they used that clip for like the intro to the Fall Guy or some shit. Because they did use a lot of clips from actual movies.
That would be a good one to use. Oh,
they used the one from Silver Streak.
We never did that.
Wilder gets knocked off the train.
Yeah.
The Bickersons here.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
It's too bad that Tom Cruise never did one of these. Well.
Yeah, he could have fell into something like this. But then he ended up doing what's the one with I think he did one with Cameron Diaz, right?
Night and Day, yeah.
Right. That's him being Tom Cruise.
Yeah. It's him being Ethan Hunt. So
yeah.
All right, so is he going to show up or is he going to take the money and run? Because they've got to get the jewel to this guy to get the sister back. But Jack wants the jewel for himself. The problem with bringing Danny DeVito back for the second one is that Danny DeVito's not Joe Pesci. And they fixed that problem in Lethal Weapon, where they turned Joe Pesci in the second one.
They make him a fixture, you know, and it's organic the way they do it.
Yeah. And they do it
as
really quick,
opposed,
and then they keep him around, like turning him into the
right?
realtor. It's perfect integration. This
Yeah,
is not going to have anything like that. It's going to be awkward and terrible, and it's just like just because you light your buds with your co-star or something,
right. And then
that
you work it
doesn't
into the sequel.
like that the orca. Bam! What are we
Oh
watching,
wow, look
folks?
at that.
What the fuck are we
Gee,
watching?
or
Wink,
maybe that's just a
wink.
nod, anyways.
Yeah. Um, but oh, I love this sequence so much.
Oh,
These
yeah.
locations. Oh,
Just look at that. The lights.
yep.
Look at that. I love that
Yep.
shot.
Yep.
Mm,
Because now what we've got is we have it ending in a like
this is a very established sequence.
architectural thing.
Yeah,
Like
this
it
castle or
it you can
bunker.
presumably imagine a romance novel describing the history of this place in detail or
Yeah.
something, right? Like it's just a really nice way of doing it. And the second one does not get that at all. It just
No,
doesn't get it at all.
this is very pirates too.
Right.
This antiquated, uh, you know, place that they're in.
So she doesn't have the jewel yet? Or she does have the jewel.
Now Jack has the jewel.
Right.
She has the map, I think, or they want the map and the jewel. Or I don't know. They want the jewel,
They definitely want the jewel.
and Joan has the map.
Okay, so they wanted the map, but instead she went and got the jewel from the map.
Hmm.
But they don't necessarily know that because of Danny DeVito not being there yet.
Right.
Right.
Ira.
But 1984 was about the last time you would have some guy like this
Yeah,
as
greaseball.
your yeah.
Or no, they were kind of like, those crooks that you find on a old cartoon.
Yeah, he's like a sitcom guest star from the like late
Yeah, a thief,
70s. Like
a crook, a robber, somebody who would break in Archie Bunker's house or some shit.
mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Jack is still dressed in his get up.
Yep. Yeah, Michael Douglas really seems to think he should have been like Robert
Yeah, he thinks
Redford
he's
or
the
something.
stud, but he just looks kind of, I
Yeah.
don't know, I can't say dorky, but like he's anything but cool.
Right. And like he doesn't get that that's working in his favor in this. Like that's bringing it back to Jack Burton. Part of the Jack Burton is that
Right.
Kurt
Like if you
Russell
saw
looks
Kurt
like an
Russell,
action hero.
right? You see Kurt Russell in that outfit
Right. Like
with his Kurt Russell hair. He just looks better already.
okay, how did they never do that with him and Goldie? Why did he and Goldie never do this?
Yeah, him and Goldie should have did one. Well, no. See, I keep forgetting. Bird on a Wire was Mel Gibson, right?
Yeah.
How come that wasn't Kurt? Like, yeah, they should have done something similar to this
Yeah.
instead of fucking Overboard. Played every goddamn day. Oh god.
Mm-hmm.
Shitty accent. Oh, they didn't do a. Hey, you! Get your damn hands off her!
Yes, this was made. This is what Zemeckis was like before he'd met Crispin Glover.
Okay. Gators. I wonder if it was a coincidence that this and Temple of Doom had gators at the end of them.
Are they from the same Gator rental place?
Right?
Well, then you would also have the Crocodile Dundee.
Well, that came later, didn't it?
That came later, but that also filled this sort of spot.
Oh yeah, romantic
But
sort of.
romantic
That was
action
different.
comedy. That was different, a little bit
The
different,
first
but
one was different. Part two was like
yeah, very
that.
much
Yeah,
this.
part two
Yeah.
was a fucking
Part
turnover.
yeah. Part one was fish out of water stuff.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
straight comedy. Like
but
very little
then
action.
yeah,
Part two was like part two was like Commando and Outback.
yeah. So I've always been bewildered that they didn't relaunch that with just Hugh Jackman or something.
That'd have been cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and there goes the jewel.
But I guess Aussie exploitation's passe. Okay, so we just had an arm chewed off in our PG movie. We've
Yeah,
had some uh, breastises through wet uh, cloth, and then we had the it's not naked if we press our naked bodies over our whatevers.
yeah.
It's not a nude
Everybody bits.
scene, and that this is very much a
Now that dude is good because he's like acting like he actually got his hand chewed off.
mhm,
Like his whole
not like it's Henry Silva. You mean?
right. Henry Silva would have just went stiff, still
Stiff
had the same expression
yeah.
on his face.
Can he make other expressions?
No,
Right.
it's been stuck like that since '62.
Oh,
Johnny Cool, whatever the fuck that movie was.
okay. So we're
Okay,
chasing.
yeah. So that gator decided,
Yeah.
hey, I got a hand, so let me go take a walk.
So also at this point, you didn't have a lot of guys like doing Michael Douglas doing machine gun stuff is more Stallone territory at this point
Right.
than anything else, right? Like it's action movie, it's action hero stuff. It's B movie.
Yeah, he probably said he wouldn't do this movie unless
He got
they
to
had a
shoot those
scene where
machine
he got
guns.
to
Oh
shoot those
yeah.
fucking guns.
There's that what is that one called? Blood Work, this one of the Clint Eastwood ones, old man Clint Eastwood ones, and Jeff Daniels has a submachine gun at some point for no reason. And I'm like, did Jeff Daniels say he wanted to shoot a submachine gun? Like, was that like one of the conditions? Because it makes no sense. Like all of a sudden it was 1982 again and shit, and it was just like, oh, okay, another great location, some beautiful lighting here. Look at this, you know.
I love this. And Sylvester's killing it with the score.
Yep.
All right, here it comes. I love this shit. And Joan steps up. You know,
Yep.
she's the heroine of the story here. Oh.
Right. And at this point, Michael Douglas is sort of in your third tier, and this is your showdown between Joan and the heavy, who wasn't a heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But is Jack gonna actually let the gator go to hell?
Yeah, can't have them both, buddy.
Yeah.
Damn it.
This is also something I can see Jamie Lee Curtis trying to have done
Oh
before
yeah,
True
she could have
Lies.
done this.
Yeah.
She definitely could have done this if she didn't insist on having that haircut. No, it has to be short. So I'm cutting my hair now.
Yep. Nicholas Hammond never slid down like that. Just saying. Okay, so we haven't been keeping track, but basically,
Oh,
Jack didn't end up doing anything.
yeah, Jack didn't
And
do a damn thing here because Joan saved herself.
yeah,
And that's kind of the gist of the movie, anyways.
which is
Because the
what the
character in
second
her
one's.
book,
Yeah.
right? Character in her book is a strong female, you know, or whatever. Uh, DeVito gets left by his punk ass cousin.
Wait a second. Ira's not in the second one, but he lives?
Yeah.
So it's even worse than I thought.
Oh yeah, they totally edged out that dude. I don't even think he
So
gets mentioned or anything.
I think in the promo, DeVito's calling Ira on the phone.
No,
Yeah, I think
no,
he is. I think he
no, he's
is.
not. No.
All right.
Because it
Yeah,
was totally sold as
we got it.
a Douglas DeVito Turner film.
Okay.
Because they did the video. Remember they they did When the Going Gets Tough.
Yep.
Billy Ocean.
Yep. Hell yeah. Next week. It's going to be the best fucking thing about it. They could have done. They should have done the music video over the end credits revolution years early for that one.
Mm.
That's the other thing, folks. Home video releases often had your hit music video
Yeah, the
intercut
video
with
to
the
the
end
movie.
credits. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was the big example of this.
That damn song. Ugh.
Yep.
Eesh.
Isn't that Eric Clapton?
No. That was
It was. It
Brian
was
Adams.
Brian. The two other guys, Sting, right?
No, that was Brian Adams did Everything I Do, and then that was a hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then later on, Disney decided we got Three Musketeers coming out, so we're gonna do this song,
Oh.
and it's gonna be in the same tone of Everything I Do, but we're gonna have three guys in it, and it's gonna be Brian Adams, Sting, and Rod Stewart.
Oh my god.
They did All for Love.
Yeah.
And it sounded exactly like Everything I Do. So it was,
We've sort of missed
and
out on the
oh
era
yeah,
of your power ballad and your supergroup power ballad in your late 80s thing. But wait!
look at this.
Did you forget? It's a fucking sailboat in the middle of New York City.
Now
And
Joan has a glow up here because now she looks like
yeah.
Kathleen Turner proper.
Yeah.
Looks like the same street Tootsie lives on.
82, but not shot by Dean Cundey.
No, but it does look good though.
Yeah.
Whoever shot that.
Oh.
Oh, look at
Yeah.
that. He stole Snake Plissken's boots.
Yeah. Call me Alligator Pliskin. Oh God.
Gator Plisken. Oh, he even got himself a fancy jacket.
Yep. You like that collar? You know you like that. Look
All
at
that
that.
shit from.
He's got a cravat on, doesn't he? Doesn't he have a
That's some
fucking
shit.
cravat?
That's some shit. Christopher Lambert would have wore in Highlander.
Uh-huh.
Oh, take us away, Alice Silvestri.
Now, what you have there is some really complicated composite shot because they are not on that boat. But that boat does definitely appear to be in New York City.
Oh, they probably look. That's back then where you could do type
That's
of
back
shit.
then. Well, now it looks like it, but at the beginning, it did not look like it. Okay, but yes. So even though this reveal is, I don't know, a minute and a half, it has a very big. It's distinct because you've got these end credits that don't fade out for quite a while, and you just continue with the practical effects shot, as it were.
No, I think that's for real because the car went by it.
Yeah, that the boat's definitely there. I'm saying there was something about the
Them
shot
in
of
the
them
boat.
kissing in the boat, like almost they superimposed them kissing before they cut to fucking stunt people. Because tough old Michael Douglas was not gonna fucking get pulled around in a boat, like
Up the street, up the block there. Because we still got people moving, and this is very much a
we
live
have
shot.
not paused yet. Are we gonna pause before we fade out? We'll have to see. But this is also the year of Ghostbusters, so New York location shooting was sort of a big deal this year.
Yeah, New York was all up. Just it wasn't until like I would say John Hughes stepped in where people started acknowledging, Chicago.
Yeah.
Because everything was always New York or California. Of course, you got your occasional Miami.
Yeah, and you'd get starting in the late '80s, you'd start getting other
Oh,
places.
wait a minute. Eddie Grant performed Romancing the Stone.
Mechanical Alligator Effects, Chris Wallace Inc. So there's our tie into Gremlins, unintentional. But you notice, Danny DeVito has not had an epilogue in this. We have not. Oh, we did. No. We missed it. We missed it when it paused. The street is paused.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Paused. People aren't moving. Yeah.
And there you have it. Romancing the Stone.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Next one's not good. Next one's pretty bad.
The Romancing
is it 114 minutes next time?
Mm.
Is Jewel Denial longer? Is it? Oh God, is Jewel of the Nile by fucking Connor and that
It may
Rosen?
not be longer. It might feel like it's longer though.
Okay, Jewel of the Nile. Here we go. Come on. It is 146, so it's the same amount of time. It is. It is Lawrence Connor and Mark Rosenthal, those guys who suck completely. It is Lewis who wrote Star Trek 5 as well as Superman 4. Lewis Teague was the guy who is not Sidney J. Fury. And director of photography, Jan de Bont.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So Jan de Bont, who has retired completely since the bomb of Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, the Cradle of Life, after his falling out with Steven Spielberg over the
wow, man.
giant ghost at the end of The Haunting.
Hey, speaking of Jan de Bont.
Yes.
Whatever became of this, remember they were talking a Twister sequel?
Twisters.
Like, seriously talking about it like
I think it's
a couple of years back?
I think it was going to happen, and then the strikes probably delayed it. But I think they're doing it.
Oh my god!
Speed movies are too long. They would be a duology. Okay.
Oh yeah, those are way too damn. I can't.
The second one's like 142, and I love me some Speed too.
I've had my fill of Keanu for at least a couple of months.
You did John Wick 4, right?
I've seen them all. Like the other night, they played 1 through 3, and yeah, much as I like them, I'm fucking Keanu Reeves out because they're playing all those other shitty movies now.
Johnny Mnemonic, baby.
Johnny Mnemonic
in black and white. In black and white, that makes it good. All right, everybody. Well, what else have we got to say? I don't know.
Well, Romance of the Stone was great. Yep. It was a cable staple for a long time, and I don't know. It just kind of, I guess, it gave birth to the Douglas DeVito Turner trio.
Which never really paid off. It
never really paid off because War of the Roses was supposed to be a hit, and then people saw it and were so turned off by the end of it. So, yeah.
That era, kind of starting with Witches of Eastwick, I guess. Not War of the Roses, but sort of your dark comedy era. It was a very weird one because while they were hits, or some of them were hits at the time, even Zemeckis did one, Death Becomes Her, even though he played it a little bit funny, spoofier. Yeah,
it still was never it wasn't because if it had been a hit, then Zemeckis probably would have more weight. I think Death Becomes Her was just, I think it did well, but it didn't. Yeah, it wasn't a super hit.
Yeah, so
he kept trying, and then he did fucking
Gump, baby.
Forrest Gump, which was his magnum opus, and then what's trying to think of this crappy CG one. Beowulf.
Polar Express, Beowulf.
Polar Express, Beowulf.
Castaway, Flight.
He started doing shit like it. Now, Flight is actually good.
Flight's got a lot of good stuff.
Flight's very good.
Kelly Riley's.
Really?
I think she sucked. Didn't she suck in that? I can't.
She was all right. I mean, she wasn't playing, she wasn't the badass. She was the girl, and it's, when you play the girl, it's just...
you're limited. Dang. Yeah. But yeah, so he's another one of those guys who he thought he was going to revolutionize Hollywood with his CGI shit, and he didn't. And now, has he started doing movies for streaming yet? Or
maybe.
Has he retired? Like these guys,
they all end up doing at least 1 or 2 streaming movies just to
get paid. Basically. Except Spielberg. Spielberg's one of the few who hasn't yet. And Peter Jackson's like, oh no, they only pay me for my documentaries because,
Now, if they were smart, they would use that Netflix money and do a 10/10 sequel.
Yep, if they were smart.
Yeah. We'll never see that movie. We'll never see a sequel to that. Such a good, underrated movie.
I gotta see that. All right. Next week, Jewel of the Nile.
Yeah, strap in, kids.
It's gonna be great.
Especially once the actual Jewel shows up.
Never gets old. Never gets old. Lawrence Con. You know, Connor and Rosenthal could have written the Martha lines. Is the Martha line beneath Connor and Rosenthal? It might actually be. We'll find out next week when we all meet the Jewel of the Nile.
Later.